Hello everybody, it's Rick Star Superstar. It's your friend Rick. Alright, this is a game changer video. Alright, I'm thinking out of the box. So, we got these criminals and child support sending out these illegal income withholding orders. And they're sending them to your job. Now, why are they sending them to your job, your employer? And why is the supposed court just not sending it directly to your employer? I mean, that's the way it's supposed to work, right? The supposed court should issue this supposed order and send it directly to your job. That's the way it's supposed to work. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to work under due process anyway. Well, rather what they do is the fake court issues a fake court order, sends it to the cretins in the child support agency, and then they create their fraudulent income withholding orders. And then they send it to your employer, who then takes your wages, which is your property, by the way, and sends it to them. Well, here's the thing. What I did is, look what I made here. A notice to employer to cease and desist sending personal property to child support agency. The Supreme Court of the United States, Coppedge versus Kansas, 1915, defines labor in exchange for employment is personal property. Now, what happened in that case was the employer was stopping the employees from sending their money to the union because they didn't want them to belong to a union. And the Supreme Court, the Kansas Supreme Court, because as we're finding out, these courts all side with these corporations and everything. So what they did was they took it to the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court says under the 14th Amendment, your employer is supposed to respect your rights, not break them. So under equal protection under the 14th Amendment, your employer is supposed to respect your property. And in that case, they defined your services or your labor in exchange for employment as your property. So that means that your wages are your property. Your employer cannot tell you what to do with that property. You can do whatever you want with that property. You want to go out and buy drugs, you can do whatever you want. You want to support your children, support your children. You don't want to support your children, don't support your children. Your employer has no right to tell you what to do with that money. So while you're at that job, 8 hours a day, or how many hours you work, they can't tell you what to do. I mean, they can tell you what to do, but once you get paid, they can't tell you what to do with that money. So these animals in the child support office, they know this. And what happened is these child support laws basically copied the income taxes. And I got this idea from one of my subscribers who sent me a video. And that's where I got the case law from. See, they're not even supposed to be taking your property for income taxes. But listen, that's a fight. That's another fight. I'm not looking for anybody to get involved in that fight. Okay? Just have them stop stealing your money for child support. Anyway, what this does is a notification to them telling them they have to stop. All right, I have all kinds of definitions here. Let me read it to you. Notice to employer. Name, and you put the name of your employer. From your name, an American citizen. You're an American citizen. You're a man. You're a woman. Okay? You're not a non-custodial parent. You're not an obligor. You're none of that nonsense. That's what they do. They change your name. You're always a man. You're always a woman, because a man and a woman has rights under the Constitution. So what they always do is they always try to rename you with these conclusive presumptions. So they'll send an order to your job calling you an obligor. So the job automatically thinks you owe money. Okay? But they're not allowed to do it, and we're going to tell them why. Okay, so you're an American citizen with inalienable rights guaranteed in the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights. Name of your employer. To cease the act of withholding wages and sending to the Child Support Enforcement Agency. For this wage garnishment document is not a warrant issued by a court of competent jurisdiction. They cannot take your property without a warrant. That has never changed. Okay, that's the reason why these income withholding orders look like a court order, but they're not. So it's very well put together. And I write it in such a way, I'm not going to have anybody lose their job. We're not threatening anybody, but we are threatening them because we're letting them know the law. Okay? You'll probably get farther with your employer than you will these animals in child support, because the child support people, they're backed by all these judges and everything, because it's a protected criminal organization. All right? But you can't sue your employer. Okay? Maybe you got a 50-50 chance. All right? And here, let me tell you let me give you an example. All right? This is an email I got from one of my subscribers. All right? It's like, hey, Richard, how would I properly go after my employer for not complying with the cease and desist paperwork? They have not supplied me with the IWO answers any of my questions. I've given them 5 more days. All right, I told them I'm working on it. That's what I'm doing right now. So you're lucky. Then he says, this morning, he goes, I got a call this morning from my employer from the central office. The individual I spoke with seemed nervous and very courteous. She is trying to locate the IWO to send to me. See, and I have another subscriber who, in Tampa, he went to the payroll, spoke to the woman, she was nice, and he was showing her that, listen, you notice there's no judge signature anywhere, there's nothing. And she was, she's okay, let me get back to you, I'm going to go check with corporate. Now, listen, these lawyers, they all stick together, like as we're finding out. But, what if you initiate an action against your employer? See, your employer can't fire you for this. Your employer can't fire you for going to them and saying, hey, you're not allowed to send my property anywhere. Okay, under the 14th Amendment, under the equal protection of laws, under the 14th Amendment. I'm telling you to see what your employer is supposed to do, and that's what I put in here. What your employer is supposed to do is when they get these income withholding orders, they're supposed to just respond to them and say, hey, listen, I have to protect, under the equal protection of the 14th Amendment, he has a right, she has a right to their property. I can't send you their property unless you send me a warrant. That's what they're supposed to do. And that's what you're supposed to, and in this thing I explain that to them. All right? All right, I got the 4th Amendment in there, the 5th Amendment. All right, I got the Common Child Support Glossary. What I do is I show them in their own words, the child support people, that their income withholding orders and support orders are not issued by a court. Okay? Page 6, an administrative procedure, which all child support things are, is a method by which support orders are made and enforced by an executive agency rather than by courts and judges. See what that says there? Rather than courts and judges. Now, what part of that would your employer protest about? Okay? Well, how hard is that to understand? All right? So what I did, I used all of these definitions so it's easy for them to understand. Okay? Now, this is a game changer. What if they say no? Now, what you can also do with that, you're going to put in an interrogatory to go along with it, where the interrogatory is going to say, all right, I got definitions. Okay, provide discovery of evidence of a court order from a court of competent jurisdiction ordering wage garnishment. They got to provide it. How are they going to do it? Now I also have the under 15 U.S.C. Section 1671, Section 303 is federal wage garnishment law. Okay, which states that for support has to be accompanied by a court order from a court of competent jurisdiction. Well, we know the child support office is not a court of competent jurisdiction, so how are they going to defend that? All right? And I have 17 interrogatories here. Okay? Very well done. So now we're going to send the cease and desist to your employer. And then you're going to send in the interrogatories to them. So here you're telling them, you're showing evidence. And some of you, if you've done it right, like my man here, he has the actual supposed court order because he followed my instructions. I have people right now that started sending these things out, and they're starting to get a response now. Okay? What we have here. It's really small, but look what this is. And man, this is mine. I wrote this. He sent it to the circuit court. Look what he got back. Defendant's request for dismissal is denied. William V. Tucker. He's calling him a defendant. Here he calls himself a man. How do you go from being a man to being a defendant? And where's the reason for dismissal? Denied. Well, I looked him up. William V. Tucker is a fucking associate judge. He's a nobody. Okay? This is horse shit. This is a void judgment. And you know what happens with this? That's where this comes in. Okay? See? This is the plan, guys. See all these documents that I have for you guys? For a donation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Employer, court, child support agency. We're covering all bases. Okay? And you got to get a response. And once you get a response, you can appeal. You can do whatever. There's so many things we can do now. So now, I got my man here. This is a response. This looks like a court order to you guys. This is their response. He demanded a copy of the court order. That's not a court order. Now he could take this. He's going to submit this with this as an exhibit with this and the interrogatories to his job and say, listen, this is not a court order. And they can and they're supposed to stop. And he got all the laws. Now, what if you're able to get your employer to stop sending the money? That's almost the whole battle. You don't got to worry about going to court. They know this. It's not your job's responsibility to support your children. It's yours. All you got to say to them, listen, show me the court order and I'll comply. Then I won't complain about you taking the money out of my check. Okay? So now, this clown here, I already sent one off of these. What I did was, notice the man read it, but I wrote objection up here. And I put his names in there. And I'm asking Mr. Tucker where he got this power. Where he got the clarification. Where's the clarification of evidence? Oh, by the way, you see this thing here? This is what happened to me. Okay? My judge vacated, dismissed my paper, or denied my paperwork for lack of merit. And you know what I did? I fired off one of these bad boys. Writ of quo warranto. Then I told him that when any judge that violates due process of law and any judge that has no jurisdiction has no judicial immunity. Okay? That's how my paperwork works. I word these things out. I give you proof that what you're doing is wrong. Then I tell you how I can sue you. People who got my paperwork know exactly how I write. Okay? So this is in response to when they deny this. These are the interrogatories for your job. And this is telling your job to stop. Okay? It's a game changer, guys. So anybody that's interested, let me know. All right, guys. Have a good day.